Oh, hi there. Hauling cube with my 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz. Quite the cube hauler. As this is Hyundai's first pickup, it makes most sense to start from back here. I mean, it is a pickup, a unibody pickup, kind of like the Ridgeline as well as that new Ford Maverick. So I'm sure someone's been doing some research that there is a market for this. And they've done the research pretty well, because a damp tailgate? Yeah, not even the Ridgeline gets that. And back here we get 661 pounds of payload capacity, which isn't bad, honestly. And if I take these boxes out of here, very, very full boxes, they're not as light as they seem on camera. I'm just really, really strong. You can see, well, the size isn't bad, but there's a clever little trick underneath. There is a watertight lockable storage area. So you can put bags and whatever else you want to put in here that you don't want to put within the rest of the bed itself. It's actually a decent little space. There's plenty of lights on the sides as well as on the top. There is a waterproof box on the left as well as one on the right. And the right one is a little bit more trick to it, because inside there is a 115 volt outlet, so you're able to plug in your charger, power tools, whatever it may be. Sure, it may not be a power boost Ford system, but hey, for light duty stuff, that's not bad. And it comes with this retractable tonneau cover. It's a really cool system. And on top, you can hold 220 pounds. So I can stand up here. I don't want to, but I can, I think. Hopefully. Depends on how much I ate today. But it's just a good system overall. And if you need better access to the bed, on the side and the rear bumper, there are these integrated steps, which means it's easy to get up and into the bed itself. On top, there's a little cap so that there's accessories you can put. It's just a really cool system overall. They've actually thought about this a lot. There are plenty of tethering anchor and hooks just so that you can stow your cargo neatly and safely. But let's talk about the overall styling, because there are some key things that I think they missed a little bit. A hit is, well, these LED tail lamps. I love the way they look. And it says, designed in California, right on the side here. Big Santa Cruz on the back, just to let everyone know in the back what kind of truck this is. And then the bumper. Well, the bumper portion, this is chrome down here, which means the last point that your bumper touches is a fancy shiny piece of chrome. The departure angle, the part that gets scrapes on rocks and any type of off-road adventure you're going to go on, that is the last point it's going to touch. So that's not going to stay chrome for long. I guess Hyundai has done enough research to say that most people that's going to be buying this aren't going to take it off-road. So I guess that isn't too bad. But one thing that they did do better than the Ridgeline is, instead of putting the spare tire in the bed where you had to take everything out to access it, it's actually underneath the truck itself. So at least they thought of that. Let's take a look at the side profile. I actually really like the side profile of the truck. The cab portion and the bed portion, it actually integrates pretty nicely. There are these little Santa Cruz logos right above the wheels, 20-inch wheels, because on this model at least, you're probably not going to go off-road. And this crease line goes right from the back to the front and splits off. It's not as drastic as the Tucson, but it's definitely nice. And on the front end, it's, well, 100% Tucson up here. You're definitely not going to mistake this for any other manufacturer or any other vehicle on the road. It actually looks quite nice. I love the dark tinted daytime running lights that it has on here. It's menacing. But just like the back, the lowest point of that front bumper, that's chrome, which means whatever you smashed into right at the beginning, it's going to scratch that beautiful little chrome piece quite often. But let's head to the inside. All right. I guess before I start talking about the inside on the front here, I should talk about the back here first. The back seats are decently accommodating. Me at 5'11", I have enough headroom. Legroom is a little bit squished. My knees just touch the back of the front seats themselves. Honestly, it's not too bad. As for amenities, all you get is ventilation ports and USB ports. You don't get that fold down center armrest, and well, the cup holders on the doors, they're okay, but they're not great. And unlike the Tucson as well as like the Santa Fe, you don't get heated seats back here. But what you do get is fold up rear seats. The seats can fold up so you can put some more stuff underneath it and carry a little bit more inside the cabin if you like. And there's a little opening for the rear window. It is manually operated, but hey, that's not too bad. If you are going to be using this as a family vehicle, I have a separate video linked up here where I show you how a Kleck Ling as well as a Kleck Fünf fits inside. So you can see exactly how much space there is within the vehicle. Just to give you a little bit of a summary, if you are going to be using this as your family vehicle, if you are sitting in front of a rearward facing seat, you're probably going to be a little bit cramped. As you can see here, me at 5'11", I'm not super comfortable. But what about these front seats? They're actually quite supportive, and they remind me of the one that was in the, well, Tucson as well as Santa Fe. On this upper trim here, they're heated and cooled, and all the buttons are right here in the center, so easy access. I have no complaints about them. In front of me, pretty typical Hyundai steering wheel. You got all your buttons and controls that you really need. Nothing really to complain about here. It is a little weird in its shape, but I found a neat little grab point right on the bottom, which you probably shouldn't be using. Just should be using the 3 and 9, but it's kind of there. Behind is a full digital cluster. It actually looks really, really good. There's everything that you really need in a cluster, and there's a hidden menu that you can find within the infotainment system. This display number 4 with the cube design, I personally like it more than the standard kind of, well, more traditional dials that you get. I don't have a heads-up display, but with a cluster like this, I think that's fine. I'm just able to look down a little bit at that cluster. Infotainment, it's full touchscreen. If you're not a fan of that, you're not gonna like it. But I think very similar to the Tucson, like I said, I just don't mind it. The items that I do use most often is volume, and I have that right here on the steering wheel. And that's really all I need. If I'm going towards my presets, there's another toggle just right next to the volume button, allowing me to do so. And if I'm using CarPlay, I'll be using the touchscreen anyways. So I don't mind that it's all touch controls. Where it can be a little bit confusing is, well, the climate control is also touch. Just hit the auto button and let it do its thing. Don't really need all the other controls here. I know a lot of reviewers hate this infotainment system because it lacks controls, but to be honest, I don't find it as big of a problem as they do. I do have a traditional shifter in here, which works well, and some drivetrain buttons around it. Overall, the cabin just works well for me. I like the overall just style of it. Everything's nice and low, so I get good visibility out. The controls and the materials, well, they're soft. They're easy to use for me anyways. Like I said, if you're not a big fan of touchscreens, well, go back in time, because that's where we're going towards. You can't keep complaining about that. You're just, beating a dead horse. You're literally beating a dead horse. But I think that's really it. Oh, on the higher end models of the Santa Cruz, you get this bigger infotainment screen. And with this larger touchscreen, while it is nice and fancy, you do lose out on wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. You will have to plug it in to the USB ports down below. I mean, you still get the Qi wireless charger, but it just doesn't really make sense because you have the wireless charging, but you don't have wireless CarPlay or Android Auto. So it's like, why bother? But anyways, let's go for a drive and see how it feels on the road. All right, on the road with the Hyundai Santa Cruz. Let's talk about the engine first. Here in Canada, you only get one engine and drivetrain option. It's a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It's mated to an 8-speed dual clutch auto, and it puts the power to all 4 wheels. In the US, yes, I know you can get the base 2.5 liter, but I mean, if I'm just looking at numbers, it's kind of gutless. You probably want this turbo motor. 281 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, this is definitely the powertrain you want. In fact, it's more power than the Ridgeline as well as the Maverick. the two kind of true competitors to this. And speaking of competitors, let's talk a little bit about pricing. The Maverick starts a little bit lower, but when you add on all the options, it's very similar to the Santa Cruz. And well, even with all the options, the Santa Cruz, it's lower than that of the Ridgeline's base price. So actually this slots right in between, and I think that's really a sweet spot for the vehicle itself because it actually drives really well. I mean, I really liked the Ridgeline when that first came out. Even the first gen, I liked it because it's like 80% of truck that most people need, because not everyone that, well, at least here in Vancouver, that buys a full pickup ever uses it as a pickup. They don't need the full bed all the time. They may use it from time to time to haul things and whatnot, but chances is it's empty in there. And being a full ladder frame, it's, well, doesn't handle as well as, well, a unibody would. And the Ridgeline, it kind of revamped that. I mean, the Baja did before that, and the Brat did before that, and a whole bunch of other things. El Camino. Actually, El Camino was body on frame. But getting off topic, the unibody pickups that we get now, the three, the Ridgeline, the Maverick, as well as this, the Santa Cruz, it's here because they make sense. They're great driving vehicles for a pickup. I mean, if I don't look back, I don't think that it's a pickup truck. I just think it's a Tucson. And there's nothing wrong with that. It drives like a, an SUV. Sure, it's a little bit higher riding. Sure, it's a little bit longer than the Tucson, but I don't think it's, any worse than a Tucson is. In fact, I think the ride on this is a little bit better thanks to that longer wheelbase. It's a really good compromise. In terms of the power delivery, it's pretty good, honestly. That 2.5 liter turbocharged 4, it's great. You put your foot down, it does wake up. It does take a second for the transmission to downshift because currently I am on normal mode. But if you put it onto smart, it does make things a little bit quicker. The 8-speed, I don't have any problems with the dual clutch that's in here. It shifts up and down whenever it needs to. Absolutely seamless. I mean, overall, it's just a really good driving vehicle. The dynamics is good. I have no faults with it. And because it's a vehicle in 2021, you have all the safety features that you need. You got the radar guided cruise. You got the actually really good highway driving assist. So when it senses that there's a turn coming up, it uses the GPS to figure that out and slows down the vehicle before that turn. It's actually pretty smart. And I mean, the lane keep works well, the radar guided cruise control works well, the blind spot monitoring, so you actually get views on your cluster, that works really well. It's just a good system overall and gives you every single safety feature that you really need. What's not to love? Well, it's a compromise, right? Buying this Santa Cruz, it's not a full-size pickup. So unlike an F-150 or Dodge Ram, I mean, those can tow like 10,000 pounds. This can only tow 5,000. It matches the Ridgeline, which is bigger. So, I mean, I don't think it's that bad. But I think the worst part about the Santa Cruz is it's just the truck community as a whole. You're going to get made fun of constantly in it because people are going to be driving the trucks and looking down at you because you can't do the things that they can. But I'm getting amazing fuel economy here, like under 10 liters for 100 kilometers while driving mostly mixed. That's something you can't do in a lot of the V6 and V8 F-150s, Rams, and Silverados. That's definitely something that you have against them. But I think that's really it. If you're looking for a more livable, easy to park, easy to drive pickup that you don't always need a pickup utility for, this is a great vehicle. It can kind of fit your family, but a rear-facing seat does push up the seats a little bit. So, I mean, if you have young kids over the age of 4, probably, with the forward-facing, then it wouldn't be as bad. But if they're a little bit younger than that and you're still using rear-facing, then yeah, it can be a little bit cramped in here. But I think, like I said, that's really it. The Santa Cruz is a great vehicle overall. It's priced very competitively within the segment itself. I think it looks great. The interior just looks good as well. It's very usable. Once again, the touchscreen, not for everyone. I know there's a lot of kind of older journalists that's within the community that absolutely hate this, but I mean, we're so used to our touchscreen devices. It's not a problem. It honestly isn't. I mean, most people these days are typing on their phones without looking at the screens. You don't need to physically look at the keyboard to know where things are. After you drive it around for a while, you know where the buttons are. And whatever other buttons that you have on the steering wheel, replicate what you need. And I think that's it. That's all I really gotta say. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like. Subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.